Now, the next speaker joining in this studio today will be focusing on the potential risks to digital locking systems and discuss threats posed to physical access control technologies. He'll be sharing his views on what can be done to prevent or reduce these vulnerabilities in the transport and logistics sector. He's also going to be looking at the growing challenges of fuel thefts and the disruption and added costs these are causing to supply chains across the EMEA region. This is because the ability of crime groups or individual hackers to penetrate digital security systems can control aspects of physical security is a fearsome prospect. So it's my pleasure to welcome Peter Stenlund, founder and CEO of Autida. Peter, we'll be joining you afterwards for a few questions. Thank you so much for being with us. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Sam. Yes, my name is Peter Stenlund, CEO and founder of Autida of Sweden. And thank you for being here and meeting you. Let's talk about cybersecurity, threats and fuel thefts, challenges and insider influence. Let's see, I will move forward. It's always about balancing the pain, trying to get rid of the pain or reduce it, and then balance things. And this is the most tricky part, and that's the main challenge, to balance the security level, the cost and the risk to the pain, and find a decent solution, a decent way that make it okay for the shareholders of a company and a corporation, for the different stakeholders, and for the operations, and also to get the problem solved or reduced at least. So that's really the true challenge, by far the biggest one. And it's not the one-time shot, it's the continuous work every day. We need to balance this, and all our efforts that we put in to the security operations, and we also need to balance the short-term actions and planning towards the long-term actions and planning. So, what about cyber threats and attacks towards the digital locks and access control? Well, since Autida is focused on the security and protection of fleets by providing locks and security, and then we have a philosophy that has been since the 15th or 1600th century. A good key will always work, and that's really the crucial thing. And the question is, can it always work if it's depending on a digital infrastructure that is providing energy and digital connections, online openings, remote openings, and all that stuff? The answer is very simple. We doubt it. We don't think a key can always work if it's depending on a lot of things. So how can we prevent the threats and attacks? First one, do never ever connect any lock to the internet. That's the first thing. It's very, very simple. Until you know how to connect to internet without risk. But the answer is probably there are no way. We can talk about encryption for a lifetime or many lifetimes, and there are different ways to reduce the risk and make it more safe, but there are no ways at all to guarantee, if you connect the lock to internet, that you're not going to get hacked or attacked. And the difference here to keep in mind is that 500 years ago, and all the time when you're using mechanical locks, there is one operating agent, one operator can manipulate one lock at a time, and it's the same amount of work from one lock when that is finished. If he succeed or fail, doesn't matter. The same amount of work you need to put in as effort for the next lock, and so on. If you consider the digital locks, if you're hacking one lock in a population of 100,000 locks or a whole fleet of 100 units, you will definitely have a success story, and you can fail 1,000 times or 100,000 times. You only need to succeed one time, and that will cause a major tragedy or disaster for the fleet holder and for the people depending on the fleets and the cargo, deliveries, the manning, the operation staff, and all the people, and they can get seriously damaged and hurt, and the cost can be so bad, so it can force companies, global companies, to bankruptcy. So, can we prevent threats and attacks? Yes, disconnect the locks from internet until you know a better way. So how can it be? One good way is that you can use the digital lock infrastructure, but do not use them when they are online. So offline operation is seriously the first absolute best step to move down and be on safe ground. So don't walk out on the ice, thin ice you don't know anything about. Stay on the solid ground until you know better. Then you can move a baby step forward and see how it works. But be very careful with, especially with large populations of locks and large fleets. The alternatives can be that you just cut off if you have already, it can be cut off, and then you can use a mechanical solution or a hybrid solution. That's also alternatives. That can also be used by having 4 eyes authentication. One part is digital, the other part is made by a friend, which is always a better way to be instead of being alone. So you can have 2 different kind of operating agents opening the lock, or from an alarm service center, one part, and the other part local. So there are multiple ways, but it has to be analyzed each situation at a time. And effects and consequences. We will consider that. What can be happening? Well, 100% of a fleet can be out of control. That means after one attack, that means you can be isolated from your own fleet. So nobody can open a lock or nobody can close a lock if it's not a slam lock. And the access control system can be totally out of order for an uncertain time. And the consequences, we will talk about them now. What would you say if I ask you, how bad is it when we cannot open or lock any doors in the fleet? Probably can nobody answer that. It's a very complex question, but it is really a relevant question to ask yourself. How bad is it if we can't open the locks and the doors in the fleet? It's really the first key question to ask yourself if you decide that you are going to connect them to internet or having them online availability. What is the time for recovery after an attack? That is the second question that I think is relevant. How long time do we need to get access to our logs after an attack? We might not be able to recover those logs, but we can replace them, we can do a repair work or a combination. And these 2 questions are very crucial to consider. And if you already have invested a lot of effort in the fleet and you have a digital infrastructure, there are many ways to make it better, more safe. So then it's good to take just a step back and see, okay, what kind of attacks or what kind of threats do we have? But after an attack, it's too late to have all the alternatives. Then you have less alternatives, and most of the time you need to do something more costly after an attack. So it's very good to be to prevent it and use some kind of predictive actions before it happens. So let's see here. And there is another thing with this cyber situation. if we consider that most of the time we think and we believe, or we have the hypothesis they are coming from the outside, but what if they are from the inside? How do we protect ourselves? Imagine that you are at home in your apartment or villa, and the threat is not coming from the inside. You have a guest or a family member, or uninvited or invited, but the person who is authorized to be on the premises or inside the fleet's heart, that means that person is coming from the side where you have no firewalls, you have no protection at all. And what are the consequences? Well, if that person has an own agenda, or that person's or that group of operators inside the company, they can do any kind of action or harm as they want, because you have no protection at all. You are completely naked, and that's really a tough one. So let's have a look on some other points here. We will get back to this. First of all, we can have cyber attacks, that's one thing, but also most of the time they are not only one thing. If the target has been selected by the organized criminal gangs, or one gang, or there is a couple of networks working together. It's like a supply chain, but a different one than the legal. It might be a local, regional, or a global target. And if they want to get through the alarm system, access control, locks, and get restricted areas in a decent way, and get into the warehouse, and they want to learn, and so then the insider is crucial, and that's the easiest way. And don't forget, the DNA of the criminal activities are, we don't want to do honest work. We're afraid of that. We are totally frightened. We don't want to take any risk to make an intrusion without having any reward. So they also do the risk and reward analysis exactly as the professionals are in the industry. They don't want to get into an alarm system and have it and be exposed. They don't want to try to lose a lot of hours to get into an access control system. They want to get somebody on the inside already, because there are no protection. Everything is legal, legitimate if they are using that way. So inside persons can start with social media and work from there, but and also the outside. If you don't have an insider, they can start with the social media to capture and identify potential insiders they want to attract. That's a very common way, and that is a sort of what we mean by multi-channel attack. They're coming from everywhere. From our point of view, when we're trying to protect the properties and the facilities and premises. So then there are fast and slow attacks also. It's very, very easy to face a fast attack, because it's coming and hitting very quickly. Bam, and then you are in deep problem. The slow attack, that is a much more complicated history, and it hits you much harder as well. So let's say that they are planning this for a long time, and then they collect the pieces of the puzzle. They get the insiders in operation. Then they are processing this, the data, everything, and the routines and every step for a year. And then they hit. Then you are really vulnerable. And you have they have been using hacker tools so any kind of office software available on the net as a subscription. And service software as a service, they have millions of people who can cooperate and work standalone and do the attacks in small pieces during a long time. And this is really complicated to prevent and to discover. There are hard work on daily basis. So network and cloud, that's the home area of the criminal activities, of course. And the databases with the info that can be considered as completely open, wide open information if you have insiders and you have this in cloud and you have fully exposed customers, suppliers, IP, etc. And different kind of databases with very important information. And if you have exposing this, this can be hurt if you are a small company, fairly small company, subcontracting transportation company, and you are transporting for a very large corporation, global corporation. You are the way in to that big corporation. This is really, really to be observant of, because that's super dangerous, because a big, large corporation can't protect your small company, but they can give advice, and you should definitely listen to them and get involved and discuss this more frequently, how to cooperate on this topic. So that's everything is connected. So let's have a look at the fuel thefts. I will. The time is short. I will give a perspective of fuel thefts. A true pain, but can we prevent them? Well, I will give you an example. The modus operandi. It's a lot of challenges. Can we prevent thefts? No, we can't. We can delay. That's the only thing we can do with locks and access control and protection, all kind of it. One thing is that we have a league. There were 5 persons in the league. They were stealing diesel, a lot of diesel from a truck park. A lot of transportation companies were using the fleet, and daily thefts, almost weekly at least, during a long time. And then we were putting in locks, and they forced the locks, and put in alarms, and a lot of alarms was going to the alarm service center, and when it came, so diesel was gone. And finally, the solution that we found, they were caught and prosecuted and put behind bars for a couple of months or almost a year, but the 5 people. But then next time, there was another gang, a new one. They were destroying the tank. They're drilling because they didn't want to lose time on trying to manipulate the lock or get it inside. So the cost of the downtime of the fleets with destroyed tank, that is much higher than the theft of a 450 liter diesel energy content. So the conclusion is, regarding diesel thefts, unless it's cost about 20 euro per liter, it's don't leave or park the truck with full tank. No locks, no access control, maybe alarm system. That could be a very good advice, but it has, depending on the implementation and where it goes, who get the alarm, etc., and the action on the alarm. But empty tank, the best way, and show the empty tank, so anyone that comes can see how much diesel is it in this tank. And then you will have no destroyed tank, and the truck will not be caused on downtime. That's our recommendation. And this one, don't be the last or the first one. Stand out from the crowd, because you will have a problem if you are the first one putting locks on a truck park with a lot of trucks. That one will be attacked. If you are the last one, that means everybody has a lock, but you don't have. You will be attacked as well. So that's important. First of all, risk analysis is always good to have. It's like having a map. Where are we? What's the weak points, weak spots? Where are we? And get the full organization to cover this and be a part of the business and risk analysis. Don't do it one time and then you are free for a couple of years. Do this regular and follow the protocols that you decide on in the management and in the company. And this one, I want to finalize before we summary. Prepare, plan and prepare. Daily awareness and action. That means the software of each transportation company and fleet holders are depending on the human beings, and that's the weak spot in each organization. You need to plan, involve the people in the planning, and so they understand why do we have locks, why do we protect the different assets and the valuables, and prepare for the worst thing. How do we act on this incident, on that incident? And you need to practice, because you cannot only show PowerPoint and expect this to have any sinful meaning. You need to practice, and that means you need to simulate actions. So people has to do something with their hands and with their brains, and interact with the hypothetic attack in the practice, and hypothetic fuel theft, hypothetic cyber attack, and a multi-channel attack. So you need to simulate this, not once a year, many times, and on daily basis. The simple reminder, what's today's threat? I'm going to drive from A to B. What's today's threat for the driver, etc. So that's about what we managed to capture today. Thank you.
Peter, thank you so much for giving us your thoughts on some of the biggest and most current challenges for supply chain security professionals. We have a couple of minutes for a few quick questions. I wonder if I could start by asking you about cyber threats. What would you recommend as a first step to reduce risks? And can the new TAPA cybersecurity standard in EMEA be part of this solution?
Absolutely, yes. It's a very, very good question, but what I was going to propose here is that first of all, I would put the TAPA TAPA standards. That would be absolutely the perfect first step to get that orientation, and involve the board of the company. Definitely super crucial. So not only the operations, the board of the company first of all, get to head into this completely, and the management, the whole management group, have them making a decision. I would recommend a decision to make a risk assessment of the company, and not only silos. This is very, very important. Not only silos risk assessments, because if you make your silo complete, you have not a clue what happened here, and that's the way in. So you need to have it across the silos. That would be the first action, to have a risk assessment, and starting with the TAPA EMEA security standards, because that will give you the guidelines of how to act and have this covered.
And then is there another step that businesses you feel should take?
Yes. Until you know where you are on the map and the threats and the risks, make a short break. If you have connected your locks, your digital infrastructure, because it's like throwing your keys out to the marketplace, if you invite everyone on the world. It's not the local one, it's the world, and it's maybe not a human being that it's attacking you. You can have billions of attacks per second on the digital infrastructure. So I would say disconnect all the locks as a start, if they are online connected, and onboard them step by step after a risk assessment, so you know what you're doing. And the threats are different from a year back and 2 years back, and it's a totally different amplitude of those days' attacks.
And I wonder if we could speak more broadly about threats, and I could ask you to look to the future a little bit. Are there any particular trends that we're seeing, or threats that you think are going to be coming through that our members should be aware about?
Yes. There are, first of all, insiders, and sophisticated insiders on different levels. And that means you need to consider that the process in the security work need to be completely updated, much more frequent than before, because modus operandi are changing so fast, and we have the artificial intelligence coming from the not wanted side, and you can use it to protect yourself, but it's also a threat towards you. So you need to balance this, and you need to consider that the amplitude, the height of the attacks are much different scale. 10, 100, 1,000 times much worse, and it's going even faster. So the frequency are getting higher and higher. The speed of this development is very, very tough.
And do you have any recommendations, any other recommendations that could help protect companies, their fleets and their valuable assets?
Yeah, that's one thing is very, very good is that where do they park the trucks? How do they park the trucks? There are specific areas that are red on the heat map. So use the TIS from TAPA EMEA. Use the network, share experience and be generous with sharing. Even if you hit or connect with some criminal members or insiders, doesn't matter. You decrease the risk a lot. So this is very, very crucial. And no social media interaction, what you are driving, what you're transporting, where you are and where you're going to drop the cargo. So no social media and no photos on the trucks where you are or so.
Peter, let me just finally ask you to finish this session.
Yeah.
I think Autida has been a Premier Partner, you correct me if I'm wrong, for 3 years of TAPA EMEA. Why are you a Premier Partner? What are the benefits it brings to you? What's the value for you?
Yeah, we are since 4 years actually.
4?
Yeah, and it's not a coincidence. It's because when we are acting as a member, it's very good for the network, etc. The difference is when we are a premium partner, we get more visibility. We have more interaction with all the people in the TAPA organization. And it's also beneficial because we have a more long-term effect on that. We have a lot more advantages with the hard to say, but you learn to know more on the deeper side how to interact, and it's very efficient, a very efficient way to find good cooperations, and that's very, very helpful. And also the programs, you get deeper understanding and learning from the FSR and TSR and also the PSR, and this is very crucial, and you get more ears and more eyes in this, and that's very, very important as well.